We are recording.
What's up, man?
Hey. Good morning. Or good day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Creative Businessmen. This is episode 20, so we're getting somewhere. If you guys enjoy the episode, be sure to like and subscribe. We really appreciate your support, and all of you that have joined us so far, we really appreciate you. So,
This fucking dog. So if you guys haven't seen yet, it's we have our guest, a special guest today, Chewbacca.
yeah.
My kid's dog is running around the studio, so that'll add an extra element.
Yeah.
Here in about 5 minutes, we're going to hear him pissing. That'd be great.
Or you won't hear anything, is just unplug the audio.
Yeah. But, so, man, where do we get started here? We're at episode 20. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think about where we are right now?
It's been fun. I mean, you know, it's a new endeavor. Yeah, it's very alien to us. So, but I've enjoyed it. You know, it's been cool.
It's been fun. I agree, man. I was just thinking before we got on, these headphones are really tight, and Jake Weddle's the last one that had them on, so I'm going to have to be sure and comment publicly about how small your head is, Jake, compared to my relatively large head, I guess.
Yeah,
but,
most people's heads are small.
That's true. That's true. It's back to that one size fits all with a mask. Like, I think the headphones are the same thing.
Yeah. A little more adjustability with headphones, though.
That's true. That's very true.
No, it's been fun, dude. I think, you know, I think we're getting better at it.
Yeah.
Go back and watch the first episode. It's pretty rough.
Yeah, man, I remember, so we got started, and in typical fashion, sometimes I think the best preparation is no preparation when it comes to things. Sometimes I like it just to be completely organic.
Yeah.
So I remember some of those first ones, and I literally showed up and put the headphones on, and it was like, I don't know, the second time I had put the headphones on, and I don't know if we'd actually practiced with the mic and the headphones, and if we had only done it once, you know, or at least I had only done it once. And it just sounded awkward at first. It was foreign, and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. So I probably should have prepared. And then we started talking, and I'm like, yeah, definitely should have prepared before doing this.
Yeah.
Nothing like hearing your own voice, you know,
Right.
in your ears, you know.
Yeah. And then just knowing what to go to. It's kind of like today, without a guest, it's a little awkward. It's different, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was just kind of like, oh, shit, what do we ask him?
Yeah. And, you know, it's been harder to get guests right now because of COVID.
Yeah.
Everybody's just so afraid to come out, and, you know, understandably. But, you know, I was talking to a guy. I won't say who it is because I don't know if they want me to, but his wife's a professor, and she was talking to some other people, and I guess her colleagues in the biology departments at the university that she works at, and they were saying that the antibodies for COVID only last 3 to 4 months. So even if there's a vaccine, it's only going to be good for a season. So it'll be a seasonal vaccine like the flu.
Right.
So, you know, unfortunately, if that's true, then it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
It's going to be here forever. So we're just going to have to, you know, our hope is better treatments, which, you know, I understand that there are better treatments now, and then, you know, vaccination that can last per season. But I wonder if it'll be like, you know, like the other SARS viruses, like the swine flu.
Yeah.
You know, that still exists. There's still cases in the U.S. every year, but it's
more
just
people
controlled.
died from swine flu worldwide currently than have died from COVID.
Oh, I'm sure it was much more lethal.
Yep. So I'm saying
Virus.
today.
The plague is still around, too. Have you guys heard that?
Yeah,
like the bubonic
yeah.
plague, like, and then you read about it still happens every year,
Yeah.
but it's just such isolated cases.
That's right.
It just kind of blows my mind because I grew up reading history about the bubonic plague, and it just sounded horrible, you know. And it just
If you look at
crazy.
HIV worldwide, you look at some of these other things worldwide, and there's more deaths worldwide. There's probably 15 things that are more deadly worldwide today than COVID. None of those things shut the economy down. None of those things shut the world down.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's really, really interesting. I almost wonder how much politics plays into it. I'm not no different than if somebody dies from HIV or somebody dies in a car crash or somebody dies in an airplane. Like, I'm not discounting that someone is dying and that we're losing somebody. I'm just saying in general, a consequence to life is death. It's part of life, right? And unfortunately, there's not a lot we can do about it, and there are a lot of contagious things that are out there that are killing more people, but they haven't had such a devastational effect. A lot of people aren't talking about the suicide rate and the violent crime rate going up, and all these other things that are kind of like side effects. So it's really, really interesting to me. But who knows what the right answer is?
Well, I know early on a lot of, at first no one knew anything. So
Yeah.
maybe, it was at that point, I understand. Maybe we just shut everything down and figure it out. The problem is once you shut things down, it's hard to open them back up.
That's right.
Because no politician wants to be the one responsible if people do die.
I agree.
But about a month in, probably there were some good studies. Maybe 6 weeks in, there were some good studies that showed that face masks worked really well to prevent the exchange of the virus. But then that wasn't even an issue, but that wasn't even an option. It seemed like
it got politicized so quickly that, I mean, look at all the countries like New Zealand and stuff that clamped down. They did it really quick, and they're fine, seemingly. Right now, we didn't because we made it a political thing.
Yeah.
And then it was this side or that side, and if you wear a mask, you're this. If you're, I know.
That's true.
I hate this shit, and it's just
bro.
like, it just sort of boggles my mind. If we had done what we were supposed to do, it's like, okay, well, America's got some learning to do.
I hate, and go back to the last election year. There's virus, and I'm not discounting it. I think election years, the reason they stand out, there's things that happen every year, right?
Yeah.
Every year. The reason we pick out election years and go, look what happened, is only because it was election year. Well, no, what happened is during the election year, it was highly politicized. It became a weapon, whether you're left, right, middle, whatever.
Right.
Whatever's going on is weaponized on some level, right? Good economy, bad economy, virus, no virus, etc. And that's why it sticks out in our memory so much, right? So I almost wonder how much of the chaos we're experiencing is also tied to just the fact that it's an election year.
That's possible. I mean, it's definitely a part of it. I think, I don't know, I go back to my issue with having a president, one person that is the leader of the free world. It's like having a king almost. And we should have a round table of experts. And then maybe in each state, instead of having a governor, you have a round table of experts. You have people from each area of the economy. You have scientists and business leaders and attorneys, and you've got these different professionals that work together to solve these problems, and you're not just getting it from one source or from one skewed source. It would avoid a lot of the political division. But back to the mask thing, when they say essential businesses, I believe that all businesses are essential.
Agreed.
They're essential to the families that require or rely on those businesses to stay alive. Now, if we as a country had been proactive on this before that and said, okay, well, and scientists have been saying this for years. I've heard scientists and read articles from scientists saying that there's a big fear of a pandemic. So maybe we should have had some type of requirement where every family in the U.S. has a certain amount of food supply.
Yeah.
Maybe you have 4 weeks of food, of dried food, and that's just part of being a citizen.
Yeah.
And then they can say, hey, we're going to shut everything down. Everything. The whole economy is going to stop for 4 weeks. Nothing exists. So if it's January the 1st, then when this is over, February the 1st is really going to be January the 1st.
Yeah.
That month doesn't count. And that way, everything just picks back up.
Yeah.
To me, that's the only way you could have done that without destroying people's lives.
Or the other side is, let me ask you, have you heard anything about the herd immunization that's taking place? Some of the people that are talking about that?
Yeah. But it requires, I think, 60-some% of society to be infected before that works.
Well, and I don't know how accurate it is, but there's one group that's claiming that we'll be there in about 3 months.
Oh, that'd be great. We'll see.
And my thing is, I almost wonder, so everybody's like, oh, the positive test rate's going up. Well, actually, they were announcing before they even finished all the tests that just by merely testing more people, period, if we'd have had those tests available 6 weeks ago, the numbers would have been drastically higher. But we didn't have the tests, so the test numbers, therefore, are lower.
Well, yeah, because the majority of people that have it don't even know they have it.
Exactly. So they increase the number of tests. Obviously, the number of positive people testing goes up. So they go. There's a correlation, a direct correlation. And what is it that Rhonda says? Causation is not correlation, or
correlation is not causation. Yeah.
But at the same point, it seems
it can give you a hypothesis for something, but
yeah.
I feel like, especially like in North Carolina and some of these other states that are not as densely populated, I don't know that we've gotten the majority. I don't know if we've peaked yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've got places like New York City where they're on the downward slope now because there's so many people packed together.
Yeah.
They probably have a herd immunity there, but I don't know that we've seen the highest numbers here. But I don't think that matters. I think going back to 6 weeks after this thing came out, I follow a scientist named Lex Friedman. He's a brilliant scientist at MIT, and he shared a lot of scientific journals that did, there were studies on face masks, wearing face masks, and how they prevent the spread of viruses and how they would be effective with COVID. They actually did studies specifically with this coronavirus, and I think that the right thing to do would have been to just enforce a face mask policy, and then get people back to work. Say, look, we're gonna reopen the economy, but you have to wear a face mask because we've got to prevent this thing from spreading.
Right.
And back then, you could have gotten everybody to work together instead of giving people conflicting information back to back to back. The media keeps saying, well, face masks don't work, face masks work, face masks don't work, face masks work.
Yep.
Or it's getting worse, or we're going to have all these deaths, or it kills 5% of the population, or of those infected. Those types of all this misinformation instead of just giving factual information.
Yeah.
And then looking at it from a nonpartisan, non-political perspective, and also saying, okay, all these people's lives are essential. We can't just say they'll be fine, because a lot of people won't be fine.
Yeah.
Our society is pretty fragile as it is.
I agree.
And if you throw a wrench into it, you see how fragile it is.
Oh, yeah.
And how many businesses were lost? Like
40%.
Yeah, 40% of small businesses went under, and they're done
Today, that's what they're showing as of today. So.
And most people don't realize that, a lot of small business owners, they can't take time off. To run a business, there's a big cost, a big expense for most businesses. Have a lot of overhead, and if you start missing weeks of business, you can't make that up.
Yeah.
You just go under, and a lot of those people have their entire life invested in that business, their entire life savings, and once that's gone, they can't just restart.
Yeah.
Some will find a way to rebuild themselves, but some won't. We've seen it happen both ways.
Yeah.
You and I have lost everything at once, and then we've rebuilt, but it wasn't easy. But at the same time, a lot of people aren't that lucky either.
Yeah. I'm glad I lost everything. Now I can say that. Going through it, and so for me to try and relate to what people have got going on currently, all I have to do is look back to when I lost the house, I lost the cars, I lost all the BS that I thought was important in my life. And, my mom hates the story, but 18 months in what I call a 1.5 car garage with a piece of carpet cut out of my house, laid on the concrete with a window unit in the window, an AC unit in the window. That sucked. Mentally, that rocked me. There were periods, and I've never I don't think I had ever dealt with depression or anything like that ever before, but there were periods where I was sleeping 18 hours a day. Like, I just wasn't me.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just would go to sleep hoping I would wake up and it would be better the next day, right? You ever just have like a day?
Oh, yeah.
There's a day, like even today, the other day I worked, I killed it. I got so much done. I put in probably 20-hour day, and I'm usually 16, 18 hours. I put in a 20-hour solid day, just killed it. I got home and I was still stressed. I had a lot going on. And I knew, I'm like, you know what, it's going to be fine, because I'm going to wake up, recharge, and I'm going to get out, and I'm going to have energy, and I'm going to get back at it the next day. And I did. Back then, I would sleep for 18 hours. I would wake up. My life was still shit. And I'd want to go back to sleep thinking that going to sleep would solve it. And eventually, I figured out that Going to sleep doesn't solve anything, right? Maybe it recharges the battery, but you got to get out there and get it. And the problem right now is a lot of people don't have a choice. There are a lot of people that don't have the choice to get out there and get it.
That's the
what
problem.
did you do? I mean, what did you do to get yourself out of that?
For me, I think tough love helps.
Right.
You know, I've got family and stuff, and I think for lack of a better word, a swift kick in the ass is good for me.
Right.
But I needed.
Was it from others or yourself?
From others.
Right.
And I had to do it myself too, but I needed other people instead of coddling me. Mm-hmm. You know, I love my mom to death. I love my family to death, but at some point, they let me sleep. They let me take it, but at some point it shifted. It's like, listen, this is not who you are. You need to get up.
Yeah.
You need to get back at it. And I think there was a couple of people that were really close to me that were just like, you know, like, come on, Daniel, get the fuck up.
Right.
Stop feeling sorry for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you always said, I had some really close friends with me, like, hey, and this is what I always said.
Right.
Like, what are you going to do if you lose everything? I said, I don't give a fuck if I lose it all. I said, I'll start over tomorrow. I said that all the time.
Right.
So the proof is in the pudding, right? Like, hey, you want to make a statement like that?
Yeah.
It's time to back it up. And so I had enough people finally start doing that. And then the other side of it, I think, was me just realizing that I had to process a lot of the things that I had done.
Right.
A lot of the mistakes I made. Your first inclination for people is to blame others.
Sure.
And for me, that was a big shifting point in my life where I started taking responsibility as a leader for myself, right? So like, okay, hey, listen, I can't control the economy. I can't control these outside factors, but I can control how I react to these situations, and I reacted poorly. I made this decision. You don't dwell on it, but just acknowledge that it could have been navigated differently. And so I started going, you know what? I got to educate myself. I need to, an autodidact. I need to basically get back to this person that I want to really start focusing on educating myself in the things that I'm passionate about or interested in.
Right.
And that was step one. And step two was just get to work. It didn't matter to me where. I didn't care if it was $10 an hour or $100 an hour. It was not. And I've never, think for a guy that hadn't had a job and a job just over broke for somebody else, and I don't know, at that point 14 years, for me to say I need to go get a job was like, that was hard medicine to swallow, but I needed to have something to focus on.
Yeah, you called me back back during that time, and you were supposed to come meet with me for something, and another partner of ours, and something came up and you couldn't. But at that time my plane was going down too. I was like, we'll meet, but I'm not sure if we can do anything right now.
And it just took moving, man. It just took getting up and showing up to a. And hey, I'm not disrespecting the opportunities that I got, but in my eyes, it took showing up to a shit job. I'm not a guy that sits in a cubicle, right? Whatever it is, whatever the job was, whatever I was doing is irrelevant.
That's death. Cubicles.
Yeah, man. So, but I had to show up to it. I had to have a time that I had to be up. I needed the structure of someone else during that, especially the earliest moments of me coming out of that mess. I needed the structure of somebody else dictating my time, which I hate. But at that time, I needed it. Yeah. And I needed, during the time that I wasn't giving all of my effort and energy to somebody else, I needed, it let me know, hey, well, when I get off today, I really want to finish this book. Or I want to spend some time with my kids because I've been a shit person to my kids and my wife for the last few months.
Well, depression, man.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it started to give me purpose. Mm-hmm. I had to be up for something. I had something to do. And even when I got paid, and luckily, Neil and I talk a lot about a floor for people. Yeah. Right? I didn't need the government to give me a floor. I was very blessed. My mother and father gave me a floor. Right. But the floor had concrete, but we put some carpet over, so it was fine, Mom. But
she had a roof over your
head. And I had a roof over my head.
Right.
And I had food in my belly. Exactly. My kids were fed, and they were safe, and it was a loving environment. And, my family gave me the space, this safety net, to go through all that shit. Right. And my kids not starve, and I not starve, and nobody get hurt. Right. Right. They really limited how far I could fall, and not everybody has that. Right. And I'm definitely not a socialist, definitely not a communist. I hate hearing, when I hear the government saying they're going to give a ton of away stuff for free, all I hear is what took place in Cuba, when Cuba turned into what it turned into. And if you talk to people from Cuba, they get really nervous when they start hearing about all this free stuff, right? But
well, socialism in a true form doesn't work.
Right.
We've seen it in history. It just creates more oppression and more poverty.
Yeah. I'm somewhere
and it falls
like
apart.
I don't want to say the middle, but I'm somewhere. I don't know the correct political definition. I think we need a floor. I don't believe the floor we have is good enough right now.
No.
Well,
I think we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
I think I think about this a lot. But,
I think.
But when we talk about a floor, we're not talking about doing away with capitalism. Capitalism is a great thing. It's if you look at the statistics in just as a society as a whole, the U.S. society, the global society, capitalism has drastically decreased poverty and hunger.
I agree with that.
Sure. The problem with the problems in capitalism, when you have monopolies or you have corporations that have way too much power, there's not enough regulation in certain areas.
I agree.
That's when you have those problems. And we've talked about this before. It seems like sometimes society is structured where it makes it hard for you to be successful. It's like there are roadblocks.
Yeah.
And it keeps people in a certain place.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. And you talk about how, when you lost everything, you still had a place to stay. You still had people to help you out.
Yeah.
And, we've got all this.
And I should say, they didn't give me any money.
No, yeah.
I didn't ask for any either. But they would have. But they gave me a roof over my head. They gave me a floor.
Still a lot of value.
Ton of value.
Yeah. It gave you a safe place to figure it out.
Survival.
The worst thing they could have do, I just want to say this, is give me money in that state.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like when the worst thing I could have done was said, hey, give me 10 grand or 20 grand or whatever grant, 100 grand, or just the modest loan that Donald Trump got, the $1 million to start his business. The worst thing I could have done was ask for money, right? Because in that state,
you wouldn't have learned anything.
You would have made a good decision.
I would have made terrible decisions, and I wouldn't have learned anything.
Yeah. Right.
I needed to go through the pain of all that. I needed to experience all that.
Listening to you guys, and one of the things that kind of brought me on, and it goes exactly, I'm not trying to counter anybody, is what you're saying is you don't feel like humanity should be left to die because they don't have this.
Right.
I agree.
And that's sort of the thing, because it seems like you guys also believe like if humanity as a whole is a little healthier, capitalism will be healthier.
Right, 100%.
And there's no reason why things, I think, have to be stuck in this schematic of, well, this is capitalism and it's only this.
I agree.
Things should be a malleable system because we are, right?
I agree with that.
Something like that. And I'm sort of, I think that's kind of along the lines of what you guys are kind of talking about. I'm trying to.
Well, listen, I'm an idiot, so I'm not like a I'm not a statistician or anything.
Too.
But when I look at society, society is what we believe it is.
Right.
It's a construct.
Society is
you guys
dogs.
can see what's happening over here. His dog
We
is
got it.
all over. But society is a construct that we create, and it works the way it works because we believe it works that way. I mean, if you think about money has the value that we say it has based on the things that we say have value. It's not even really a tangible thing. It's something that it's like a credit, really. And I believe that, or I hope that one day we will look at money, or we will base our money on humanity, on people instead of things. We will say our money has a certain value. It's worth a certain thing because it's based on the individual people in that society. And that would greatly increase the value of our money, of our currency.
Yeah.
That's the only way to raise the floor. There aren't enough resources currently with the value of money to provide all of the necessities, all the basic needs for everyone in society. We don't have enough money.
Yeah, I agree
So that's the problem. But if you base money, instead of going from the top down, you go from bottom up. And you say, our money is based on each individual person. So every time a person's born as a citizen of the United States, our money increases, our value increases.
Right.
That's an increase in our value. And then we suddenly would have enough money to meet those basic needs for people. Now, at the same time, what concerns me about those types of ideas is if everyone has their basic needs met, you know how a lot of people are, they won't do extra. Like if they don't have to work, they won't work. So there has to be some type of fail-safe in that system that says all of your basic needs will be met, but you are required to contribute to society.
And that doesn't necessarily mean cubicle. That can mean artistically. That can you've got to have something that you contribute, because we are experiencing this issue now currently We have businesses that are open, and we actively have employees across 11 states that will not take a job. They won't come back to work, and you can threaten, listen, we have to turn into HR that...
Clients' employees.
Yeah, clients' employees that
Right.
you're refusing to take your job back, right? And you can lose your benefits. And then we look like the enemy.
Right.
And people are saying, well, do what you got to do, because they literally are making more not working than they will. So now there's no motivation. So the problem is, what you're just talking about is, if the floor is too good, there's no motivation to work.
Right.
And we have nobody showing up to interviews.
And I think the key to that is if you wanted to just be an artist, you've got to be a productive artist. You can't be doing stick figures and say you're an artist. It's got to be real art.
Yeah.
So my point is okay, you do have to get a job.
Yeah.
You have to do something
to contribute
as long as you can.
Yeah.
And you have to, sort of like unemployment, you have to prove that you're doing something. And it needs to be a better system than that. But there's some way to, like maybe an employer, it's part of your taxes. Your employer reports your job, and if you're reported your work, then you're getting these basic needs. And then obviously there's going to be a percentage of society that can't do things, that can't work.
Yep.
And then you also have segments of society that shouldn't even exist. We've got the issues right now with racial inequality and stuff like that. Those are parts of our society that our society has created that we need to fix. We've rebuilt entire nations. We should be fixing those problems. We shouldn't have project housing in the United States.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We shouldn't have these issues. We shouldn't have shitty schools in black neighborhoods. It shouldn't be a thing.
Yeah.
And that's also part of this thing that needs to be fixed. It's part of we're all a community together. We're all part of the same society, so we should respect each other and care about each other. And that doesn't mean we need to destroy our society or destroy our system. That's bullshit. That's nonsense. And it's not even about race, because race is not even a real thing. It's something we believe in. Yeah. But it's not, we're all the same species. If you really want to get technical about it, all human beings were black at one time. We're all from Africa. We're all the same. Just certain ancestors grew up in certain regions and adapted to those regions in a different way. But we have the technology, the resources now to fix all those problems. Every single race on the planet, every single person on the planet has ancestors that did terrible, horrendous things. Yeah. Because people were just shitty.
Yeah.
And they still are in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But we're way better. If you go back 500 years, those are not the same people today. If you go back 100 years, those people are not the same as today. That's why I'm so fucking pissed off we have two 70-year-old guys running for president.
Yeah.
They have nothing to do with our generation.
Yeah.
They're not representative of our generation, of the things that we need in our society today. They're part of another system, another generation that had different ideologies and different beliefs.
Yeah.
So it's frustrating, and I feel like it's our generation that is responsible to fix a lot of these things. It's our responsibility, our generation that should come in and make some of these positive changes, and also with some of the social justice stuff and the woke stuff cut that shit out too. That's nonsense. It's not accomplishing anything. You don't tear down an entire economy because you don't like something. You figure out what the problem is and you fix the problem.
Yeah.
Well,
it'd be like us going into a business, right? Because you and I consult for various businesses, and we go into a business and their problem is, customers are unhappy with the way they're being treated by the manager. Employees are unhappy with the way they're being treated by the manager. We do some due diligence and realize that the manager is rude, lacks social skills, and believes in a type of management that everyone else must be subordinate to them, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is the manager. We need to figure out how to either retrain or replace the manager, right? Mm-hmm. So we have to give the manager the shot. They've got time there. They've got tenure. They've gotten to be a manager for some reason. So we look at the situation and realize, is this a training issue? If it's not, the solution is we replace the manager. Maybe we create whole new hierarchical systems, right? Mm-hmm. The solution is not to burn down the business.
No.
The solution is
it's a good business. You just fix the structure.
Or sell the entire business, maybe even, and not say burn down. Let's say the solution's not, you know what, we're done. We got a problem employee. We can't deal with this. We're never going to do gas stations again. No more gas stations. They're a terrible idea. Because this one bad manager, right? You got to eliminate the issue. And so there's a lot of focus out there. And I'm not if you believe something strongly, that's your right in America to freedom of speech. Go at it. I don't have to believe with you. I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me. That's fine.
Right.
But let's put that energy into solving the problem. And we all agree there's problems. And I think all sides agree as to what some of those problems are. It's the extreme ideas like burn the whole system down instead of let's solve this issue that creates so much division. And that's where I go. I can't get behind tear the whole business down. I can get behind get rid of the manager.
Yeah.
I can definitely get behind that.
Yeah. I think a lot of the woke culture is just virtue signaling too. I think it's it makes me wonder, like, if you did, they tear all the shit down, then what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Survival? I think a lot of the problem is we evolved for really millions of years. You go back to the first hominids, that was 10 million years ago maybe? So we've evolved over millions of years to be in small groups, and then the first Homo genus was, a few million years ago, maybe 3 or 4 million years ago. And so all those types of humans up until Homo sapiens, which we started maybe 300-some thousand years ago, up until recently, they lived in small groups of up to 150 people, and they were hunter-gatherers until 10,000 years ago maybe, when they started, doing farming, growing crops and creating small civilizations. So we haven't evolved to deal with this many people and to work together. Humans have trouble working together with large groups because we don't, it's an empathy problem. We don't empathize with people we don't know.
Right.
Because we can only keep up with so many people.
That's right.
And it's the Dunbar Effect maybe? Is that what it's called? So you can only really personally have a relationship with about 150 people.
Yeah.
Anything outside of that, it's just numbers.
Yeah.
And then that's why when you hear about wars, you hear about like millions of people died in World War II, and you're like, oh, that's terrible, but you really don't understand what that means. But then when you see one person, if you see a little kid get hit by a car, or you see somebody fall off a building, it breaks your heart because it's like, oh, I can see this one, I can relate to this person with empathy. And I think we're trying to evolve to where we can handle these big numbers of people in society, and we can have enough empathy to connect us all to each other. And I think that's the biggest problem is a lack of empathy in society because we all want the same stuff.
Yeah.
And like you said, whenever you lost everything, you still had a family that helped you out and stuff. But there's a lot of people that don't have that.
I agree.
And especially with the issue with the race issue in our country, you have minorities that don't have these. We have generations of family that have been here, especially you and I, that have gotten established and they never had these big roadblocks that like black people in our society, their parents lived through civil rights. They lived through the Red Line issues in the 50s, 60s. Their parents weren't allowed to leave certain neighborhoods or buy certain properties. There were actually restrictions on selling properties to African American people in like the 50s.
Yeah,
it's insane. And so we need to fix that problem, and I think raising the floor does a lot to solve that problem. Raising the floor, improving education, just improving society. If you want to have a good society, you have good people. You don't want poverty. We don't have our biggest issue today is not a race issue. There's definitely some race issue. There's definitely a race issue.
Right.
You and I are racist. We don't care what people are, what color they are. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
They're just people. We care about the quality of the person.
Yeah.
And if you want a better society, you have good quality people. You want to get rid of poverty. Poverty is what creates problems. When I see somebody doing something wrong, like if I see a guy that's smashing somebody's property or attacking somebody or robbing somebody, I look at that person and I think, man, that person was a kid one time.
Oh yeah.
You know, that was a.
No, I agree.
Like what journey took that person to
well,
that point? You
how-
know, because
Yeah.
all
Where-
of
where did
us
it-
have probably had experiences in our life where we tread the line of what we think is
Yeah.
good and bad, and we kind of build that along. And I don't know, I'm guilty of doing things that I consider bad along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stuff like that.
But what went so
yeah.
wrong in that person's life that led them down that path of
Yeah.
destruction?
Well, they
And-
thought those were the only choices they had.
Yeah, but and I hear people they say, well, they're still a criminal, and yes, they are still a criminal.
Yeah.
They're fucked. You know,
Yeah.
their life is ruined, and if they do something wrong, they have to be punished
Yeah.
because you have to have order in society. But you got to figure out what caused that problem. There are a tiny fraction of people in society that are sociopaths.
Yeah.
They're going to do bad shit no matter what.
True.
But that's the tiniest fraction of society. When you have large groups of people doing, committing crimes, or you have certain areas in society that have high crime rates. There's a reason that area has a high crime rate. It's because of poverty.
Yeah.
You know, when people don't have opportunities, they have nothing to live for, they don't fucking care.
Yeah.
They just want to smash shit and rob shit and break shit because
Right.
they don't have any shit.
Yeah.
They have nothing to live for.
I'm curious, Neil, what do you think about, I know you probably know about this, but like sort of like some of the prison systems in other countries where it's not, you're not an animal in a cage, but you are separated in a place, and but you're given an opportunity to, I mean, maybe they won't give you knives and stuff in your little apartment, but you have books, you can talk to other people, and you're treated like a human being instead of an animal in a certain kind of way. Though I don't think animals should necessarily be treated that way either.
That's a really good topic to talk about because we have a huge problem in our society with our criminal justice system. You know, a lot of our criminal justice laws, especially the drug laws and stuff, were developed, but were based on race policy. You know, they were created in the 60s and 70s to attack people with the civil rights movement and people from the anti-war movement and stuff like that. And the good thing is we have the technology to educate people on these things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another thing too. People talking about defunding the police. That would be the worst thing you could do to society. We need the police. The police.
This is retrain or rehire the manager.
Yeah, you reform
You
the
got to
police.
solve the problem. You have to. It needs to be an educational system that's changed, a hierarchical change,
Yes.
Yeah.
or a change in leadership. Whatever needs to happen, those individual people need to be the ones that are removed.
Right.
Individual people, departments, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't tear down the whole thing.
Well, yeah, you have to reform the police. We need to reform the police. We need to reform education.
Right.
I agree
Those
with that.
people need to make more money. And that's another thing. It goes back to the same thing. What do we value our money on? It should be valued on. It should be based on people, not
You were
things.
saying earlier, though.
Not GDP.
So let me tell you. So I grew up a very rough life.
Yeah.
And my mom doesn't like this either. But I grew up, I chose part of this. So, and there was like a code. I don't want to say honor amongst thieves or code amongst thieves, a gangster's code, whatever you want to call it. But there was a thing that if I was man enough to take some action, and I'm talking about as a child, like 12, 13 years old, I was taught these things. If you're willing to run your mouth, be willing to accept the consequences, you might just get punched in the face.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So I chose to do things knowing that a consequence could come. One of those could be criminal. One of those could be civil. One of those could be getting punched in the face, right? One of those could be if I want to buck up to somebody else and this is less likely then, but somebody could shoot me, right? Somebody could stab me. Like I had friends that were stabbed. I had friends that shot people, right? Like, I mean, literally, it's a long, long time ago. I grew up, some by choice, very different. We went military base. You know, we lived in Germany. We lived in different places. And, you know, I grew up, military base are predominantly African-American. I grew up as the minority, if we want to be technical, in a lot of these places. And I chose to do activities that put myself in harm's way. But me, as an individual, and even at 11, 12, 13, I would have told you then, hey, man, it's the risk I'm willing to take. If I go jump out of an airplane right now, I understand one of the consequences could be that I hit the ground.
Sure.
Right? If on some level, I know a lot of people that would be described by others as criminals, and they would tell you they're just making choices. They understand the consequences. I think part of the problem is the family of the people making the choice.
Yes.
So you got somebody that's desperate, that understands that there's a consequence, does it knowing that they can get caught and get in trouble.
Right.
The problem becomes the family doesn't think they should be punished. I agree that the punishment system is wrong, but there needs to be something that takes place to discourage the activity.
Right.
And in theory, it's got to be worse than the activity, worse than the financial gain, so that way it discourages the behavior. So I get all those things. So how do you design a system that properly punishes behaviors that society wants to discourage? That's the trick.
There's a lot of topics.
Yeah, it's done. That's a ton of stuff. I'm just saying we got to take responsibility again for some of our stuff.
I understand where you come from with aggression because I have it too.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's got to do with the way you're disciplined as a child and stuff. You know,
I don't spank my kids. I mean, because of that. Yeah.
I don't either. Yeah. Because that makes you aggressive. Yeah. We're both aggressive guys. Yeah. I mean, I'm not nearly as aggressive as I used to be, and you're not either.
Yeah. No, I'm a teddy bear now.
You still have the claws, though.
A well-armed teddy bear.
But we're all products of our environment. As much as hard as we try to better ourselves, we still have these things that are just ingrained in us. It may even be in our DNA.
Sure.
Just from generations of that behavior.
Yeah.
And that's why so like when I see the criminal, usually if you look at the criminal's family, you see problems.
Yeah.
Not always. There are occasional people that just make bad decisions. There are the occasional sociopaths, but primarily if you're or if you see a guy that's a criminal that came out of a good family, look at the neighborhood, look at the community. How much crime's in the community? If there's a lot of crime in that community, there's an issue there. There's a poverty issue or there's some other there's something creating that problem.
Right.
It's all linked together. So I think with the crime thing, they have to be punished.
Yeah.
But we have to figure out what's causing the crime. What's causing the crime rate to go up?
I agree.
And then back to Jesse about the criminal justice system. We need to reform the system.
I agree.
Police officers need to be paid more, but they also need to be trained to not kill people.
I agree with that.
You know, the training should be, our whole criminal justice system should be based on health and well-being and improving society. When you take someone, we should get rid of the drug war completely.
I agree with that.
We should decriminalize all drugs because I don't even know how that's constitutional anyway to tell people what they can or can't put in their body or do with their own body as long as it's not hurting anybody else.
Educate them, though.
You educate people. You decriminalize all the drugs. You educate the people. You legalize some of the drugs and give them access to them like they did in Switzerland.
Yeah.
Because they had a huge problem in the 90s with heroin addicts in Switzerland, so they decriminalized heroin. They made it legal. They created clinics that people could go to, and also
UK did that too.
Yeah.
And they also offered programs. And so instead of taking a drug addict who's got their life's so shitty, they're trying to escape life, escape reality.
Right.
You take that person and say, okay, if that person wants help, they want to stop, then you give them access to a rehabilitation program. Or if they want to keep doing it, you let them do it safely. And in those societies where they've done this, those people can still be productive members of society. They can go to the clinic, do what they need to do, and they go to work, and they do their thing.
I got an idea. You ready? We should ban eating rocks. Because if you eat a rock, you can die, right?
Break your teeth.
And you can break your teeth, right? There's a lot of negative shit that happen, and we're going to ban it. It's going to be illegal. And if you eat rocks and we find out, we're going to put you in prison.
No, it's worse than that. Like, you can legally eat any chemical unless it's one that makes people enjoy it.
Yeah.
I mean, really, you can drink bleach or you can eat
Pods.
eat Tide Pods. Yeah. You know what? But if it makes people high or makes them enjoy it or helps them avoid their existence, then it's illegal. It makes no sense.
It's asinine.
When you take somebody that's got a drug problem, or maybe they don't have a drug problem, maybe they don't like doing it.
Yeah.
And that should be their right.
Maybe some people like golf. Some people like smoking weed. Some people like doing a little heroin. I'm not for that. I don't play golf either.
I don't think heroin would make you productive.
No, I agree.
But some people, if they want to do it and they can do it productively, they should be able to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you take that person, you throw them in prison, and you give them a felony, you make them a felon. gee, they're going to be a really productive member of society now.
Well, and the problem is not them doing the drug. If they commit a crime, they infringe on someone else's right. Because they want to get high, they go rob somebody. Now we got something.
100% is the problem.
Yeah.
But then if you decriminalize it and regulate it, they have access to it. They don't have to do that.
I agree.
It's another thing.
Well, and the price of the product through regulation
be way cheaper.
Way cheaper.
Yeah, it'd be reasonable, and that again going back to what's causing this problem.
Yeah.
What's the solution to make this not happen?
Yep.
And also when you talk about somebody, if they get in their car and they've been doing heroin and they crash and kill somebody, it's no different than alcohol. You can't get drunk and get in your car and go crash and kill somebody.
I agree.
As soon as you affect somebody else's rights, it's not your right anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've crossed the line.
There's a guy my brothers went to school with that very wealthy family, educated, and they were out, and I'm not going to give his name or any of his information, but they were out. They were at a party. He was drunk. He basically fought his friends to get his keys back. I'm using that term lightly. But fought with his friends to get his keys back, said he was fine. He got in his car. He drove down the wrong side of the highway, and he killed a family. I don't remember if he killed the whole family. I know some of the kids died. I think the mother died. But think about that. Now he's currently in prison, right?
As he should be.
As he should be.
Yeah.
And I get it. He made a decision while he was drunk, a bad decision. The problem was he cost someone else their lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be punished for that.
Right.
Fully. I get it. 100%. I don't think that because of this bad thing that happened, though, you can go, alcohol should be illegal.
No.
Because bad things can happen.
Responsibility.
Right. Exactly. Like,
is part of being free.
And part of being an adult is you need to understand the consequence.
Yeah.
If I do this, again, this comes back to the code in the streets. You want to run your mouth, be prepared to get hit or back it up. You want to commit a crime, be prepared. You want to drink and drive, be prepared. Right. Everybody thinks, I don't want to get a DUI. What about you don't want to kill somebody?
Right.
Sure. Right.
How about just respect other people? That's a big problem. You have to respect other people.
Yeah.
The DUI thing is, and any kind of intoxication, I think technology is going to solve a lot of that too with autonomous vehicles.
Sure.
Pretty soon, there won't be drunk drivers because you could sit in the back of your car with a bottle of vodka if you wanted to. It's going to take you there safely, So.
And these problems too, and I hate to go too far down this because I don't know enough about it to speak intelligently on it, and people could pick this apart. But again, we're talking about problems of people that have no means. Right. Because myself, if I'd like to drink while
you can
while
afford
driving,
to pay somebody to hire an Uber.
I just hire a limo or a driver, and we have a ball, and we can legally drink in the back of a limo. But you can't legally drink. I can have a designated driver, right, and be in a car, and I can't legally drink in the back, but I can do it in a limo. Like, what kind of sense does that make?
Strange.
It's true.
Like, I can be in my limo, right, and all it has to have
arbitrary
is
laws.
A limo tag, right? I'm in my limo, and I can get, and I don't drink, but I'm saying if I wanted to, I could be in the back getting roasted, drunk as day. 10 people in the car with me, doesn't matter, they're all drunk. As long as I'm in a limo and the driver is not intoxicated, I can do that 24/7.
Right.
Take the same scenario, same driver, but remove the limo designation, and now everybody's getting arrested. It's a crime. And this is, again, so you got to look at this law and go, makes no sense.
Yeah, it's completely irrational.
Yeah. So if I'm in the back and I want to drink and I've got a driver, how are you going to charge me with an open container, right? Like, so, and this gets really controversial, but to me it's like somebody dropped the ball here.
It's just politicians trying to look righteous.
Right. Well, hey, I'm wealthy enough. Wait a second. If I'm in my
virtuous
limo,
politicians.
Yeah, if I'm in my limo, I should be able to drink.
Right. Yeah, it's so dumb.
But if somebody does it in a van, like, oh, god dang. But then I think that's our system is we got a lot of laws.
Technically, a van could be a limo, though.
That's true. You got to call it a limo, though.
You have to have the right tag.
It's got to have the right tag.
It could be a car.
That's right.
Yeah.
You got to have the right. It's all about this.
It's a tax.
It's a tax.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a tax, a licensed limo driver, etc. But it's one of those things like we can sit here and laugh, and we're joking, we're having a good time. Yeah. But there are laws like that we all should look at and go, hey, this doesn't really make any sense.
Oh yeah.
Like if I do lines of coke, it has one level of charge. If I want to smoke crack, the type of charge is 10 times as high.
Because it was targeted towards black people.
Because predominantly at that time when it came on, African American black people were smoking crack. So. Hey, well, that's worse than doing cocaine, so we're going to charge you.
Another crazy thing about the criminal justice system we have now is you can take prisoners and put them to work.
Yeah,
At $1 a day.
$1 a day, bro.
It's slavery.
I can't remember. I'm not gonna get. I don't know the company for sure. I think it was like AT&T, but there was a company.
I think it was American Airlines.
Maybe it was American Airlines. This is right. Yes, that was it. It was American Airlines. And they had like.
I think I'm not.
This whole.
It was one of the airlines.
Yeah, they had this whole prison workforce answering their phones, like paying them like $1.10 a day.
Like it's not Jake and khakis.
Yeah. Oh god dang! This is real.
It's Jake
stuff.
in the jumpsuit.
Yeah. So this is like. This is basically the equivalent of modern day slave labor. Like really, like
100%.
It is.
That's what it is. That's
yeah. How about we? If you're in prison, you still a minimum wage, and
Right.
A minimum wage based on being in prison and having your housing.
And depending
provided.
on the crime, you can work your way out of it.
I agree.
Or
and
you know,
guess what? This is a good way for restitution to be to pay people back. How do you expect a prisoner to pay back somebody that did wrong to someone else?
Right.
How do you pay restitution when you make $1 a day?
we can't.
You can't. That's what I'm saying. So like, it makes no sense to me.
It's designed to be that way.
It's designed to break the person.
Yeah.
And why do they keep you in prison? Like, you know, we've got Jonathan Trapp. Shout out Jonathan Trapp, one of our good attorneys and good friends. He does all kinds of things, but he also gets people out of prison that are there unjustly, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people will sit in jail because they don't have the money to post bail, right? They'll sit in jail for years, right? And not been found guilty of anything.
Wow.
Because they didn't have the ability to fight this process, to go through and have representation, right? So that's one of the things that he works on. But you look at that and you go, there's a fundamental issue here that everybody's aware of. And hey, listen, if you're a criminal and you're here, you're not mentally handicapped to a point where you can't make rational decisions. That's a different thing.
Yes, yeah. There's a problem with that too.
There is. But if you can make those decisions, I know a lot of people that most people would never be around. I have no problem being around them because you know what? They're awesome men and ladies. Literally, they're still good people at their core. They still care about their families. They still protect their children. They can be violent people towards others and still very much care about somebody, right? And really the problem becomes when you cross them. So crossing them, they can be the most vicious enemy that you've ever seen. If you don't cross them, they're just like anybody else, right? Not saying I agree with that.
Yeah.
But they also act consciously.
Well, that's a personal responsibility issue.
It is.
Yeah, they need to be responsible for their actions.
100%. And most of them would tell you that they understand the consequences.
I think our society needs I think we lack empathy. We lack forgiveness in our society too.
Yeah.
We need to. We need to be able to give people a way to reform themselves.
I agree with that. And then what is prison? Jesse was talking about prison earlier. You were talking about these other countries.
Right.
So what is prison? For me, it should be, what is the purpose of prison? Like, what is it that I think every citizen would agree?
Punishment or redemption.
It's got to be both, though.
Well, I think
it's punishing.
I agree.
It's punish listen, if I stick my hand on a burner, I'm going to get burned. I'm being punished.
Yes.
By nature, by whomever, for doing something stupid.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
If we are impatient and don't want nature to run its course, or other people to take justice into their own hands, we have to have some type of criminal justice system that discourages the behavior.
Yes.
Right.
And there needs to be some punishment that everybody can agree
Right.
Okay, hey, if I unfairly beat you up and I rob you, you need to go to prison, and part of prison should be, this is a punishment for what you did, and then what's the plan when you get out?
How do you
Right.
how do you reform? How do you fix that? How do you rehabilitate that person? And
What opportunities? Yeah.
Is there a way to rehabilitate that person and make them a better person and prevent that from happening again? You fix the drug problem. That's a big part of it. That's the biggest part of it. And listen. It doesn't mean there has to be less federal jobs, because that's what it's all about. It's all about money.
Yeah.
You can have the same. I'm fine with them keeping the same amount of jobs. Just they need to be different types of jobs. Our criminal justice system should be based on health and well-being, and rehabilitation of people, and it should have nothing to do with people with drug-related issues at all. That should be part of the health system, not the criminal justice system. And if you decriminalize all these drugs and you legalize some of them and you regulate them, you put all the drug dealers out of business. You put the drug cartel in Central and South America out of business. Because Or maybe you put them in a legitimate business. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
But you stop all the murders, all the deaths, and the poverty. You fix that problem.
Yeah. I'm very open to tax and regulate.
Yeah, and
for a lot of things.
Well, yeah, I mean,
as long as the tax is not designed to put you out of business, then it's illegal. It's unconstitutional.
We need to get out of this archaic idea that one adult can tell another adult what they can or can't do with their own life, because that's crazy.
Yeah,
I actually fully believe. Like, let's say you wanted to jump off a cliff, right?
Well, I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, have fun.
Yeah,
have fun. Like, listen,
well,
if you're 13 years old, you're not able to make that decision.
Right.
Right. But if you're an adult, whatever our definition of an adult is, right? If you are of legal age to if you can go fight in a war, I feel like if you decide you want to go skydiving, you can legally do it. If I want to jump off a cliff into the water, I think should be able to legally do that.
Right.
And as long as I'm not hurting somebody else.
Well, actually, you can legally do that.
Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to charge you. I don't know how they charge you you're dead, but if I go jump off a cliff and kill myself, it's a crime.
Well, it used to be. It's not. It's actually not anymore.
Oh, did they decriminalize it?
I looked into that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Suicide used to be illegal, but then nobody got in trouble for it.
It's assisted suicide now.
Yeah, assisted
suicide is illegal.
Yeah, if you ask somebody to push you off the cliff,
yeah, hey man,
they'll get in trouble.
I'm not strong enough to jump. Can you push me?
They just murdered you.
Kevorkian.
Yeah. So, but it's again, it's like, hey man, if I want to do this activity bad enough, why should somebody else tell me? As long as I'm not hurting somebody else. There's the caveat.
Right. Yeah, as long as you're not affecting someone else's rights.
Yeah. So I would prefer you not.
And also, you
do it on my property.
You also
Maybe
want
to
go
somewhere else. Go to public land and do it.
Yeah, or you want to look. You want to say, why is this person doing this too?
I agree with that.
How do we, if it is a problem, then how do we make it where that person doesn't want to do that?
I agree.
But
again, though,
but if someone altering their consciousness, or they want to do it and they enjoy doing that, then they should be able to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect anyone else, and if it does affect other people because of legal issues right now, we need to fix that.
Yeah. Well, and so I heard something Dan Crenshaw said, and I'm not saying pro Dan Crenshaw. I don't know enough about it, but he said something that really resonated with me. He was on Rogan's podcast.
I saw that episode.
And he said something about, Rogan kept asking, well, wait a second, alcohol is so much more dangerous than marijuana.
Yeah, but Dan's he's a Republican, and he's very stuck in that ideology, though. He's got his talking points, and he can't
get out of it.
And he can't get out of them. Yeah. He has no reason. He has no rational reason why he feels a certain way about something. He just knows he's supposed to feel that way.
Well, his thing was alcohol's already out of the bag. So his thing was listen, alcohol this is what you get. Alcohol may be really bad for you, right?
Yeah.
But it's already out of the bag. It's already legal to do. It's already legal to drink. Cannabis is not. And what he's saying is even though cannabis may be healthier than alcohol and cigarettes, right? This is Dan saying this. We haven't let it out of the bag yet, and I don't know that I want to, because there might be some negative consequence, right? And the rationale makes no sense.
It's irrational.
Yeah.
And Dan is supposed to be, a guy that's for people's rights.
Right.
Yeah.
But yet his ideology is trying to control people's rights.
Parties are killing us.
Yeah. I agree. And it's like
the two-party system's a horrible, divisive thing.
It's run its course. It's time for change.
Yeah, I mean, like Wang, and this is, again, I don't follow politics close enough, but Andrew Wang.
Yang.
Yeah. See. Sorry, Wang.
Freudian slip.
Again, don't follow politics close enough. But so I just want to, again, a little asterisk there. I don't know enough about what I'm talking about to speak to it, but in general, I liked the idea. It works in Alaska. I agree. I like this. Again, we're talking about this minimum floor, right?
Yeah.
There are also some beliefs that he has that are too steadfast. Like, it's every party goes, if somebody starts to drift outside of it, the party goes, wait a second, you can't do that. You're going to lose support. Right? So it's like, how about we all just figure out that really mostly what we want, we all agree on. The difference is how do we get there? What we disagree on, all these points we're talking about, I think people, for the most part, would agree.
Yeah.
What they disagree about is how we accomplish it. And that's the difference in the two-party system is, on some level, they're both trying to accomplish the same thing. They each think that it needs to be done differently on some level. And I think that's the issue. Like, I don't know why it's got to be this way.
Well, I think the goal should be to reduce suffering.
Yeah, I like that.
There's a lot of suffering in life. How do we reduce it? And
I don't know. What's that first do no harm? Like, I mean, like, hey, how about we do as little harm as possible, reduce suffering, let's create a different floor, an education system. Yeah. And how about technology?
How about we just make better people?
Yeah.
We just produce better people.
Yeah. How about technology solves some of this inner city issue too? I mean, like, are we providing enough technology to have, because if schools are going digital, if you have some type of device and you can access the best teachers in the world, why are we still doing this archaic system? Right. It's child care is what we're talking about.
Well, I think in the inner cities, you have issues with one of the biggest issues there would be
infrastructure.
Well, it's infrastructure, but it's also just structure in general.
Yeah.
You have kids that have no family structure. They have
True.
and I'm not saying you have to have a mother and father, the family unit. You don't have to have that. Things change, but the child needs structure in their life.
Yeah.
So they can go to school every day, so they can have discipline and behave, but they need positivity in their life to want to do those things.
Yeah.
If you've ever been in a rough neighborhood, maybe doing real estate or something I have in the past, it's a different world.
Oh yeah.
You see a 13-year-old girl come to the door and she's pregnant. Her mom, she doesn't have a dad. Her mom's gone. She's basically by herself, and I'm trying to collect rent. And this was for a job that I worked years, a long time ago.
Yep.
And and she tells me that she didn't know if her mom's gonna have the rent or not. I have to come back, a few days later and make sure I get there before she goes to the mall. There's just it's a different world, and you can't expect a child in that community, in that environment, to have have any structure in their life.
Yeah.
That's part of it. You have to reform that community. You have to go in, and we need to go into those areas, invest heavily. It's an investment.
Yep.
We need to stop looking at it as an expense. It's an investment. It's our society investing in itself to fix this problem, because that little girl doesn't have a future.
Yeah.
Occasionally you'll see somebody come out of those communities and they do really well, but they're the outliers in society, and especially in that circumstance. Even you and I are outliers, really.
Oh yeah.
And
I grew up. My mom hates me saying this, but I grew up. I would today would call what I did. We grew up poor. My mom would say, "Hey, you were fed. You weren't starving." I agree with that.
Yeah.
But we weren't middle class.
Right. I was poor. We didn't have running water until I was 8.
Yeah.
We had an outhouse, which is insane. It's like it's like a different world or something. But I still had a lot, though. I was poor financially.
Yeah.
But I still had a family that loved me. I still had a house to live in. We had land.
You had structure.
Yeah. So in a lot of ways, when you compare it to the global perspective, I was rich.
Yeah.
But you look at these communities, these inner cities and stuff, you've got cycles of people that have just lived in a really bad environment. They have no structure, no opportunity, poor education. We got to break those cycles, and I don't know exactly how to do it, but it's got to be done, and we can do it.
And one of the things, and this is again not to try and get political, but there are people that go that I don't think have things that are rooted in reality. Like, let's say growing up in a rough neighborhood or in the hood or whatever you want to call it, right? Being off base, military family, off base in a trailer park, there's a lot of crime, right?
Yeah.
Life is different in those communities, like you just said, right? And there's a different set of consequences. So then you have people that go on TV and they're unaware. They've never been there. They've never grown up there. They've never experienced that. And I think some of what you're seeing too is you got people that are coming into communities these communities have never experienced some of these things that some people are experiencing every day of their lives. And I think that's also what you're seeing play out too on TV, is you got a lot of people that their lives are chaos in the communities they live in, and now that chaos is kind of coming out into the world, and there's a lot of people that aren't used to that. And I think it's definitely extreme right now, but I think, look at Chicago and all the murders and all the shootings that happen, all the kids. You look, and not just Chicago, look at there's a ton of places I can tell you that they're like literal war zones, never hits the news.
Even here.
Yeah.
High Point.
Yeah.
there's a lot of crime there.
Yeah, I mean, literally, and I think in Charlotte,
Greensboro,
Charlotte, a couple weeks ago, I think there was, I don't know, a dozen shootings. I mean, literally, like, and there's been murders recently. I think a 14-year-old died, or 13, 14-year-old kid died a week or 2 weeks ago in Charlotte. Like, it's crime. I mean, like, these communities have a tremendous amount of crime.
Yeah.
Tremendous amount of crime.
And the crime is not the problem.
Right.
It's what's causing the criminal. What's creating the criminals. What in this community is generating criminals?
Yeah, because something's off.
And it's poverty.
Because 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds killing each other,
that's crazy.
It doesn't make any sense.
If those same kids lived in a middle-class home, they had all their needs met, they had a loving family or people that loved them, they had opportunities, they had good education, it would never be that, they wouldn't turn out that way.
But they're not kids anymore. Like, literally, they've been forced, like the 13-year-old was pregnant.
Oh, yeah, when people grow up in
those
those types of circumstances, they grow up at 13.
Yeah, they've been forced to grow up.
Yeah.
And so that's, I don't know. So I think we'd all agree there's a lot that needs to be changed. And I don't think any one politician, especially, has the answers. I think we all can try to figure out that, hey, I think we agree in general that things need to change, and we need to quit being so divisive and try to figure out ways together to make those things change. And, it's not going to change overnight. No. Unfortunately, it's going to take time.
Yeah. Well, I think some of the stuff too now is and I've said this before, is we have access to so much information.
Yeah.
People are overwhelmed. They see all these problems in our society. Most people want to fix them.
Yeah.
But they don't know how. They don't know how to direct their anger. They don't understand economics. And I think a lot of it is just it's growing pains of society. I think hopefully we're growing in the right direction. And Steven Pinker's got a book. He's a brilliant psychologist. I can't think of the name of the book, but he's got a book, and he shows the statistics in the book that show how we live in the safest time in human history. Like, it shows how crime and poverty and how all these things have improved steadily throughout history. And so I think we're heading the right direction. I think we're just feeling the pains of that progress.
Right.
We could always fuck it up.
Yeah.
But hopefully
there's still time.
We don't. And I think we're both naturally optimists, but I feel optimistic about it, that we can figure it out and solve it. And certainly the key is empathy.
What Steven Pinker was the person you're talking about? Was it Enlightenment Now or Better Angels of Our Nature?
It's Enlightenment Now.
Enlightenment Now. Oh, okay, cool.
So, and I think, and Neil and I spend a lot of time talking about why do we do what we do, right? Like, what inside of, let's say that you're an artistic person and you just love to paint. There are people that are brought up in households that no one paints, right? They didn't like this. What is the reason, this innate reason that we do what we do? And so, like, for me, like, why is it? And figuring this out about myself was amazing. I don't want to retire, the quote unquote retire. I like to work, and I'm working on projects that I'm passionate about, and I'm passionate about my business. I'm passionate about solving problems, right? Like, so, like, once I figured that out, but then you and I talk, we go, why are we like that, right? Why do I have 3 younger brothers? We're all vastly different. There's a lot of similarity. We grew up in the same home, same parents, right? Like, but we're vastly different people individually, right?
It's weird, yeah.
It's crazy, right? And so we each, I'll say that my brothers are driven, but we're all driven into different things, into different directions. We're all passionate about different things, and we find different things important, and that's okay. Like, but
yeah.
So I guess what I'm getting at is like I could have grown up, and I grew up in rough communities. And if all the opportunity that I had, let's say I'm an opportunist, let's say I'm a capitalist, let's say that at 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, because I was ripping out magazines and selling $1 a page porno mags in school for $1 a page, right?
Hell yeah.
So I'm a hustler. I'm going to the health department getting free condoms. I'm selling them for $1 a piece. I could get 20 free condoms a week, and I'd sell them for $1 a piece in school, right? I'm making money. If I'm in inner city gang communities and the only way to make money is to sell drugs, me in that community, I would have been selling drugs.
100%, yeah.
And
that's what happens.
Exactly. And if if the punishment for ripping out a porno mag and selling it at $1 a page was prison, like it was if I was selling nickel bags of marijuana, right? During that same time frame, my life today would be vastly different.
It's a travesty, man. Those people don't have a choice. They don't have a chance.
No, and that's the thing.
No chance.
Put me in that community, I promise you that's what I'd have been doing. I promise.
Right.
I'd have been making money. I'm going to hustle and make my money. On some level.
And don't think our politicians aren't aware that that's exactly how it works.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Some people are. So I would have been driven, and I would have taken the opportunity that I had, and that would have been the business I would have went into, right? Because I didn't know anything else. So I still would have been a business person. Society would have viewed it as a negative, right? And as a child, I would have been punished early on. You know, you get caught selling pages out of a magazine, which I did. The punishment was more of a slap on the wrist and talk to the parents. The punishment was not put a 13-year-old in jail or prison.
Right.
14, 15, 16.
I saw this video recently online where they went into the school and took this 6-year-old little girl. The police came in, put her hands behind her back, zip-tied her hands, and arrested her. 6 years old, crying. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
That is not solving any problem. You're creating a problem.
Yeah.
That is not how you deal with that. Obviously, that little girl's got a discipline problem. She's in trouble.
Yeah.
And she probably has a more serious problem at home. Like she probably has a lack of parenting and lack of structure in her life.
Something bad's going on.
Something's wrong.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah.
You bring a psychologist in to talk to this child and say, "Hey, why are you acting like this? What do you need? What's wrong? You know what's going on?"
Maybe the child needs a
And
friend.
she really didn't even look like a bad kid. And and when she started crying and talking, it's like, this is just a little girl.
Yeah.
She's a child. What is wrong with our? Why are we doing this? Why is this even legal? That's insane. Like it's just so backwards.
I've met children that were supposed to be problems, and it's amazing when you allow them a space to act like a child.
Yeah,
they're a child.
And let them talk.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they're a child. They're a child through and through.
Yeah, they're kids.
Show interest in them.
Yeah, and if you put pressure on that child because they've been forced to deal with things they shouldn't have dealt with.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if you apply pressure,
they push back.
They push back.
Yeah.
It's a defense mechanism. When I was young, I love. Hey, I'm not. If you want to spank your children, that's your choice or your children. What I would tell you is spanking me as a child taught me that if I do something you don't like, you're going to hit me to deter the behavior. So what it taught me as a child is if somebody else does something I don't like, I'm going to hit them to deter the behavior.
That's the same problem. Yeah.
Right? And some people, you're going to hit and they're going to stick their tail between the legs and they're going to cower in the corner, and it's going to be effective for those children. Some children are going to turn into me, and I'm going to start hitting you back. Right?
And it'll be like me, where I'm kind of like,
I
just stayed kind of neutral. But like for me, I was never aggressively going at people.
Yeah.
But if someone came at me or something, I would quickly defend myself.
100%.
And
well, it's defend. Like each of
but
us
even
handles it differently.
even the kids that were bullies, though, they were bullies because they were bullied at home.
Yeah.
You know, it always stems from something.
But we basically were a product of our environment to some extent. We had our reactions were based on the environment we were in. That child that's experienced whatever behavioral issue, and that moment is handling it based on their defense mechanism that they've already figured out. And if that defense mechanism is to go sit in the corner and cry, that has a much different consequence than if the defense mechanism is to become violent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They're both defense mechanisms. Both are signals that there's a problem. Right?
But it goes back to different types of people.
That's right.
You know, we can't really choose what type of person we are, like what our interests are. We naturally have a certain inclination about our personality that makes us want to do certain things. Like you and I are ambitious people. We are attracted to business.
Yeah.
We are very ambitious. We're wanting to constantly create things and learn and grow, and it's just who we are.
Yeah.
And some people may just want to draw all the time.
Which is fine.
They may just want to paint, like you said, and that's just how they're inclined. There are other people that don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, they just want to have a regular basic job and just get by.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but they're completely happy and content with that.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that we can't control.
No. Funny story. We'll segue off this, but this is kind of funny. we've got an employee that's been an employee for a long time. Employee of was one of the companies that we consult for that we've known. I'm not going to say his name, his or her name, but for a long time. And this employee probably should be making 6 figures a year, and the employee's probably making $40,000 a year. I don't know what the employees make, a lot less than what they could be. And there was a period like a year ago where they asked for hey man, and this has happened many times. They asked for the promotion, and we're like, yeah, we'll definitely consider you. Previously, when we talked, you didn't want the responsibility because you like to travel on the weekends, you like to have your weekends off, you like to be off in the evenings, or you like to go they did activities, whether it be camping or riding four-wheelers, whatever. They had some activity they like to do, and you told us that this person told us that they didn't want the extra responsibility because they weren't willing to take on the responsibility if it meant that they couldn't go do those things. Yeah. And I said something like, well, listen, man, as a manager, unfortunately, yes, you have a team to delegate to, but as a manager, if your team doesn't show up, if an employee calls out and you can't get another employee to cover, you've got to go in.
Yeah, it's your responsibility.
It's your responsibility to solve the problem, right? Like you can't tell me that you're at the local camping trip every weekend and you can't be bothered and your phone can't ring from Fridays at this time till Monday morning and we're on this location because stuff happens, life happens. Like, hey, I own the business and sometimes I leave family vacations and fly back home. That's happened many, many times. I mean, like,
anytime I'm on a vacation, I still have to work.
I work too. Yeah, I got my laptop, I got my phone.
We have a lot of responsibility.
Exactly. We got a lot of stuff going on, and if you want to step up and take on more of a leadership role, what really is happening is that your level of responsibility goes up, and you can't have both, right? Like, yes, you can go rock climbing or you can go do whatever you want to go do, but if an emergency pops up, unfortunately, if we can't get someone else to cover it, you're going to have to go in, right? And so this person has continuously chosen not to take advancement because they're unwilling to forego potentially all the stuff that they go do. And I don't understand it, but I don't have to.
Yeah.
Because it's just like the person you're describing.
I understand it, but I can't relate to it.
And maybe that's a better way to say it. Yeah. I understand it, but I can't relate. I can't relate to that. But here you have the
because
people,
you and I, we even when we had jobs, we knew that this job was a way for us to generate revenue to help us get on our own.
Listen, people that work 8 hours a day perplex me. That's the first 8 hour shift. What do you do in your second 8 hour shift? Yeah. That's the way I look at it.
Or what's a shift?
Yeah, well, their mind is a shift. So I said, well, what do you do during your second 8 hour shift? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, when you finish that job, that's time you're giving to somebody else, right? You're exchanging dollars for hours. That's time you're giving to somebody else. What are you doing for the next 8 hours?
Yeah.
Right?
I've had so many different projects going on at one time before that I had to sit down and figure out how much time I needed to allocate to each project. Yeah. And then when I would have time to just live.
Yeah. No, and that's
in between projects.
Yeah, man. I mean, like that's basically what we do, though, right? Yeah. It's just managing. So my goal in life is I need to be a good father and provide, right? And part of that's providing. Part of that is last night is getting home early enough when I can so that I can interact with my children for a few minutes and ask them how their day's going. And I love to be able to hug them, kiss them, tuck them in, have them talk to me, right? Even if it's 15 or 20 minutes at night, that's rewarding for me, right? Yeah. I'm not the father that's there all day. I'm not the father that's going to all the events. I'm not that father. I'm not at home for lunch. I'm not at home for dinner most of the time. Like, I mean, literally, that's not the father that I can be or want to be. But I am the father that while I'm there, I'm there. I am the father that does one-on-ones, and I'm there consistently. And if I say I'm going to be there, I'm there. And if I say we're going to go do something, I do it, whether I'm tired or not. Like, I've become okay with this.
You spend a good amount of time with your kids, though.
I do.
Don't short sell yourself.
I do, but compared, I mean, I spend a lot of time working, right? Like a tremendous amount.
Oh, yeah.
And I've taken on projects, right? But it's just like what you said. So
there's a lot of time in the week, too.
There's a ton of time, man. And what I don't get is people that work 40 hours a week, and they're like, oh, I put in 40. I'm so exhausted. I'm like, what are you talking about? 40? I work 80 to 100 hours a week minimum. Like, I've been doing this for a long time.
I think I might have something to.
Yeah, let me hear it.
Well, what I think is like we're trained. Life is like we're trained about the work week as little kids, and we see the bulk of humanity on these set schedules and stuff. That's true. Yeah. Growing up, you think, well, you work your 8 hours, 5 days a week, you're 40 hours a week, and it's going to be for somebody else. But that's what you make to live, you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize that they can go and do things, that they can, you know, they're here in life. Take it, you know, you're going to be gone. So do something while you're here, you know? And a lot of people don't have that thing. I used to wonder about it too, but I realized, well, I'm different, and I was brought up a little bit different than other people too, you know? So it's just like, but I think a lot of that could just be like, just what's been ingrained into the pattern of society, you know, across the whole world, you know, that kind of thing. And it's different in different places.
It is. Yeah. It is. And I would love to come up, and I know there's stuff like this, but let's say that you're, the fact that as a teenager, you're making long-term decisions.
Right.
Is an interesting concept to me, right?
Yeah.
But that be that as it may, let's say at 16, 17, and you're education-minded, you're thinking about what are you going to do in college, right? You there needs to be a class, a seminar, a something that says, so we already have all these expected pay rates, right?
Right.
So if I go to be a teacher, this is what I can expect to make. If I want to be an engineer, this is what I can expect to make.
Sure.
Right? Literally, you play you're literally picking a direct consequence of what your life is going to be financially, within those constraints, right?
Sure.
So hey, you want to be a struggling artist, you're going to make 20 to 40 grand a year unless you're that outlier, right?
Right.
You want to be a teacher, you're going to make $30,000-$40,000 a year, right? You want to go into the police, you're going to make the police force right now is I think starts off in our communities like $32,000 a year. Right. You want to go in the military, we're upper 20s. Right. Like you want to be an engineer, now we're talking 60s. You want to be an attorney, we're talking possibly low six figures, upper 60, 70, 80, $90,000. You want to go to medical school?
Right.
We can pick our path, right?
Oh, yeah.
The problem I have is that don't bitch about it after the fact. Don't go to school and get a teaching job.
Right.
I think our teachers are underpaid, first of all. But don't go to school, know that you're going to make shit, and then complain about it the rest of your life that you make shit because you chose.
Well, they're underpaid because of the way we value the money.
I agree.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah, it's the wrong.
Yeah,
we look at it the wrong way.
Yeah,
and then well, in my case, okay, I'll use myself as sort of the example here because I was a teacher for 17 years.
Yeah,
I came from a family of them, but back in the 80s even and stuff, you could be a professor and you could have a family. You could have kids and a wife who didn't necessarily have to work, and you could support them. But then all of that changed.
Well, I want to talk about that in a second.
And now,
too,
and there's stuff I don't know. Like I don't know a lot about the financial world or anything like that. But it's just kind of like, oh, okay, well. And then even all my uncles are like, yeah, just get that, and it's good. It's what I wanted to do. I chose teaching because I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I knew that the time that job allowed, I had all these openings that I could practice my craft,
right?
And that kind of stuff. So I did it for that.
Yeah.
But now I had to change because it's like, okay, I need actual money.
Yeah.
But I've learned enough of that, so it's.
Well, that's why a lot of scientists are professors.
Yeah. I'm not dogging it.
I didn't read that at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think if I value teachers. Listen,
right.
Miss Coates, Miss Barry, Miss. I can name Miss Houston. Miss Houston was my 6th grade English.
Well, your mom was a teacher too, right?
Yeah. My mom's a teacher.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Houston, 6th grade English. Miss Baxter, 6th grade science.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, I can name. I got a dozen more.
Right.
That I can name that were very impactful in my life.
Yes.
I can name teachers today that are very impactful in my children's lives that make a difference, and not all of them have, by the way.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Some of them are shit.
Yeah.
For sure. That's like any.
Yeah, it's like anything else.
Yep.
But I value it. But at the same point, there's a specific financial situation that you've kind of signed up for.
Oh, yeah.
If you choose to be that, right?
Yeah.
But you were talking about back in the 70s and 80s that what you're really talking about is a single earner.
And even in the 90s, it was still kind of, you could get away with it.
Yeah, it's a single person in the household that's generating revenue, right?
Right.
So there's this thing that I think we may have touched on this briefly, but I want you to think about this for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Society said that it started off as something where women should have the opportunity to work as well, right?
Right.
And when this first started, when women started entering the workforce and you had 2 incomes in a household, these households really exploded financially. They did very well.
Absolutely. Nuclear family kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes, because you had this situation where you could live off of one person's income.
Right.
Now in today's society, what we've evolved to was the workforce doubled. Okay? The number of available workers doubled. The
Right.
number of duties is being cut in half. The average pay has not kept up over the years.
Right.
So that if you look at what a teacher made, an individual teacher made or individual household brought in the 70s, 80s, and 90s,
Right.
and you look at what households bring in today, the money, it takes both members of the family now, to do what one member of the family could do in the
Right.
70s, 80s, and 90s.
Sure.
So on some level, we just diluted the workforce and cut everybody's pay. I mean, literally.
Yeah.
Well,
Now,
I think also some of that is we've outsourced a lot of our good jobs.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the jobs that are available now are not that good of jobs. There are a lot of retail jobs and stuff. They don't pay that much.
no.
And
And you can get trapped in
but
it forever.
technically, our wages have gone up.
I think if you compare
Statistically.
the wages, I guess what I'm looking at is that look at what a household, look what it took to pay for a household, family, wife, kids, mortgage, etc., rent,
Right.
Yeah,
in the 80s.
the cost of living.
The cost
gone
of
way
living
up.
That's it.
Yeah.
has the fact that now we have
Inflation.
2 full-time incomes and we still can't live, barely can live. What we used to be able to do off of one, this what
The
used to be
quality
the
of jobs
American
has
dream.
decreased
Right.
drastically.
I agree with that. And whose fault is that? I have no idea.
Well, it's our society's fault. It's
Yeah.
our politicians' fault, really.
Yeah.
We don't manufacture anything here anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like you look at the town we grew up in. It's financially it's
Yeah.
a horrible place
Yeah.
based on what it used to be.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
used to when we were kids, people could live there, and even if they didn't have an education, they could still have a really good job and provide for their families and
Right.
have a home and a vehicle or vehicles. You know,
Yeah.
you can't do that there now.
No.
And there's a lot more crime. There's actually
There's
quite a
ton-
bit of crime
there's a ton
there
of
now.
crime there, yeah.
That society is just an economically depressed society, or that community is an economically
Yeah.
depressed community, and it's because there's no opportunity there. There's
Yeah.
really that's why we don't live there
Yeah.
because there's no opportunity there.
Right.
You know, and I think even with COVID, you know, we saw some of the problems with that is because we didn't have access to PPE
Yeah.
from China because China manufactures all of our PPE, so the hospitals couldn't get the equipment they needed.
Yeah.
3M was not allowed to export. A U.S. company was not allowed to export their products to the United States because China wanted to have them all, and that's that's problematic. You know, so I think you know, hopefully with automation and AI and technology, we'll start to be able to bring back some of those companies here. Now they're not going to produce the jobs they used to produce because a lot of that stuff is automated now, but
Right.
it'll still be more jobs than we have currently and better jobs.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's you know but that's a problem. You know, people. It's another thing too how we value the money. If we valued our money properly, those teachers would make a lot more money.
Yeah.
Those people in law enforcement would make a lot more money. Those all those jobs would be higher paying jobs, and plus
The higher morale also gives it a boost.
they would have they would have all their basic needs met too.
Mm-hmm.
Their housing,
Yeah.
or at least a certain amount of their housing, and medical. Medical should be like fire
Yeah.
or police. You know, it should be just it should be a part of our society. It's just covered through society. You know, and then if you want special procedures done, you can pay extra for those.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, I think eventually all that stuff should be part of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, if you want a boob job, I don't think that unless there's a medical reason that you need one.
Right,
You had
yeah.
cancer.
yeah.
You had a
Had a vasectomy
double
or
mastectomy
something.
or something
Yeah.
like that. And I mean, like I think then
Vasectomy.
I think, oh, you know what, that's fine, that makes sense. Otherwise, if it's for a vain reason, I don't know that
No,
other
should
people
cover
should
it,
be
yeah.
paying for that. But who knows, man? And again, it comes back to that whole thing. It's like
But even that stuff would be more low cost, I think.
exactly yeah.
Right. Well, even you talked earlier about being able to afford an Uber.
Yeah.
I think eventually Ubers will be free.
Yeah,
I think they'll be subsidized through ads and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm cool with that actually. I like that idea. So
Yeah.
so the problem becomes let's say that to make something less expensive that the person performing the service has to get paid less.
Mm-hmm.
That will never happen.
Right.
If you go to a doctor, because doctor, just like everybody else, everybody thinks that as they perfect their craft, they should make more. Everybody thinks as they should grow their business, they should make more. Everybody thinks as they're an educator, the longer they're in it, they should get more.
Right.
Every employee wants to make more money.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? Every customer wants to pay less for things they think
Right.
things are too expensive. The two are contrary.
Yes.
You can't have one with the other.
Right.
I can't pay my employees more and not raise my price.
Right.
Which means my customers got to be willing to pay more. So I think the other side of this is there's an inverse relationship related to what we can pay our people versus what we generate, the revenue we generate. And so we got to figure out a happy medium too. Like we're dealing with it right now. I mean, what do we pay people? So let's say that we had to raise our pay rate to meet some of the pay that people are getting to sit at home right now.
Sure.
Several of our businesses would go out of business. They wouldn't exist because it would.
Because the jobs aren't that valuable.
No, they're not. I mean, these are jobs.
And honestly, a lot of those types of jobs you could just automate.
Exactly, and that's actually where I was coming. What's about to happen is you and I are talking about it right now. Unfortunately, we're being forced to look at automation because we can't get people to work.
Right.
Like we had, and Jesse, we had businesses we consult for that hundreds of people would apply.
That's why if you raise the floor, it would prevent that from being a problem.
Yeah. No, it would. We used to have hundreds of people that would apply. Now we're lucky if we have 3 to 5 people apply.
Yeah. What do you think about business models that take on more of like I've heard of stuff that seemed good just from the stories I'd see of it and stuff. I don't know that much about it, but like businesses that were started, but they'd bring in employees, but they would make them more. Not just like your 401k stuff, but they would actually have a share of that company that they're then working for. It's something like with engineers, I see that happening.
Yeah, Publix is like that. We had an original, our core people, we had offered some version of that, right?
Right.
And it was a hybrid, our own version of that. I'm open to that. The problem is that most employees, look at McDonald's' turnover ratio.
Right.
All right. That's not a long. You can't make somebody a partner that's there temporarily.
I don't think McDonald's
and it's grueling anyway. Yeah,
supposed to be a
it's not a long-term
adult job either.
No,
it's supposed to be like a high school, college job.
Yeah, but and I guess that's the thing. So you show up at a job and you're 16. That job is not expected to be the job you have the rest of your life.
Right.
Right. Let's say that you're a teacher by day and at night you wait tables.
Right. Sure.
Right. Like you don't want to wait tables forever.
No.
And ownership. To me, like ownership comes with a whole level of responsibility, right?
Absolutely.
So like there's this other side of it.
Well, that's the thing. You got to be willing to be responsible.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So people, I think the struggle I have is I don't get paid $1. Now, we've actually done proposals recently to people that are used to investing in the real world. They're used to, let's say the businesses we generate, a CEO would make millions of dollars a year.
Right.
I make $0.
Right.
As a CEO, I don't pay myself $1.
Sure.
As a CEO, he doesn't pay himself $1.
Right.
Okay? I'm of no cost to my partners.
Right.
Or my investors currently in any of my corporations.
Right.
Right? That confuses people. Because if I was a publicly traded company, I would be making millions of dollars a year. They see a higher return with us. And they're like, oh, this doesn't make sense. It can't be true.
We just had this problem.
So we just had this problem. So Neil and I are sitting here going, you know what? Maybe we need to send them a new proposal, give ourselves big salaries.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And instead of us doing a lot of the stuff ourselves, just hire, literally drastically hire, put more positions. This would lower the rate of return, the effective rate of return to our investors or to our potential partners.
Right.
And it would look normal to them, and they would go, oh, this is a great return.
Sure.
Right? Because what we show right now, they're like, well, wait a second, this doesn't make any sense. It looks like we're making too much money. Well, the difference is Neil and I aren't paying ourselves.
Right.
Because as an owner, I want to get paid off the bottom line. I don't want to be an employee.
Sure.
I want to, the better I manage my business and the more money we have left over at the end of the day, if I have money left over, I get paid. If I don't get paid.
We've always looked at it as everybody else gets paid first.
Exactly.
We get paid last.
Yeah, so employees want to be an owner? Great, sign up.
Right.
Forfeit your pay.
Right.
Like I have.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because pay is exchanging dollars for hours.
Right.
Ownership is you're taking a risk.
And it's a percentage of whatever product you
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, and guess what? The employees, everybody gets paid before I get paid. Right. And there were years
sure
that I didn't get paid.
Sure.
Years.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I'm all for it. And I encourage people, so even if you're at a job, I think job stands for, as my father would say, job stands for just over broke.
Right.
J-O-B.
I get it.
A job is not designed for you as the employee to be overpaid.
Right.
Literally, you're filling a position. You're part of a math formula.
Yeah.
Right. And everybody says, "Oh, raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour." Okay, great, we'll do that.
You're going to shut down a lot of businesses.
You're going to shut down a lot of businesses, and you're immediately going to raise the cost of all goods. And
unless
Right.
unless it has to do with raising the floor, and it's part of a subsidy program, because the business itself can't afford to do it. There's no way.
Let's take the employees that are getting paid $10 an hour across the board. Let's say that all the employees are getting paid $10 an hour. We raise it to 15.
Right.
Our cost just went up by 50%. Guess what our product and services go up by?
50%.
50,
Yeah.
Now, for milk, you're paying $12 a gallon.
Instead of 5.
Right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? And this is rough math. I'm saying this is crude, but whatever, every service or product that you're buying has to go up by that amount.
Right. Well, people don't really understand this, so it's kind of a problem.
Yeah,
know?
so
The
hey.
stuff doesn't just magically appear.
So these 100 employees want to make more money, fine. These 5,000 customers are going to have to pay more for the product and services.
Right.
And then do that across the entire world, right? Across at least the United States.
Right.
Well, guess what? The effective rate is still the same.
Sure.
Because if you made $10 an hour and I raise you to 15, but the cost of living goes up by the same percentage, you're still effectively making $10 an hour.
Nothing changed.
Nothing changed.
Yeah.
It's like that's
I
this
think
whole political bullshit we're dealing with too. Is
Right.
you can't solve it like that.
Right.
Probably it probably makes it worse for people that are at the very bottom at that point.
That's
Sure.
true. That's true.
Because you just
Because guess
you
what?
just lowered the floor.
No, you did. You lowered the floor for the people that are on other services like I've got a brother that's in full kidney failure, renal failure, and has been for 5 years.
Medicaid,
Right.
Yeah,
whatever.
and I think he gets, and I'm not, this is not the exact amount, I think he gets like $600 a month.
Sure.
Now think about that for a second. One, how do you live off $600 a month?
You can't. It's impossible.
And with all this pandemic, he didn't get any extra money.
Right.
He's not getting, he didn't qualify, right? But it's $600 a month. So if we take the $10 hour, let's say average employee, we raise him to 15, and his money's still $600 a month, he effectively, his $600 is worth less because the cost of goods went up by 50%.
It just dropped to $300 a month.
It just dropped to $300 a month, exactly.
Basically. Yeah.
So have y'all thought about what are some possible solutions for this kind of problem or anything like that?
Well, I think reevaluating the value of money.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's
interesting.
I think instead of a top-down approach to the economy, you have to go bottom up. You have to say, our money is based on each individual. What does it cost? What does each person cost our society to have all their basic needs met throughout their whole lifetime?
Right.
What is that? Is that $1 million? Is that $2 million? You figure that out based on each person, and then you have a certain, and it's not what the person's worth, it's what it costs to provide all their basic needs during their lifetime.
Right.
And then you say, okay, well, this is what it costs per person. So then our economy is based on people.
Right.
So then people that already have, and this is not socialism. It's still it's still capitalism.
Right.
So people that are already nobody changes positions. Everything will stay the same except you just raise the floor. So you don't have people in poverty anymore. So then you just say, okay, well, our money is now based on the value of the people of our society. And maybe it's based on the people of our society plus
Something.
all the business in our society. So then you have two things. So it's worth even more. And then you'd have to have it set up where maybe it's through a trust system or something. Every time somebody's born as a citizen, they get a trust, or they're part of a trust, or it works through the Social Security program, something like that. And then you can't just give people money.
Yeah.
That's where I don't agree with Andrew Yang. You just give people money, they're just going to blow it. We saw that when they started getting money for COVID. They just went to Best Buy and bought all their TVs.
Yeah, we had people not paying their rent in our apartment complexes, and they're not paying their rent, and we got trash cans overflowing with TV boxes.
So you can't do it that way. It has to go. It has to be, allocated into medical, education, housing. Maybe you get some kind of a housing stipend, like maybe you get $1,000 a month that goes towards your housing, whatever that is.
Yeah,
but that's built in when you're born.
It's built in,
Right.
Yeah,
and then and that way, that's the base, that's the floor. So anything you do above that's gravy.
Yeah.
So people like you and I, you wouldn't have had to move back in with your parents when you lost everything. You could still.
Yeah.
You may have to downsize.
Oh yeah.
You might have to go to something more modest, but you'd still have a nice place to be. You wouldn't be depressed. You know, a lot of people that go through what we went through kill themselves.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, it's tough when you lose everything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there were days when I just wanted to stay in a fetal position and just not move.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
Maybe for days. You know, and you know, not everybody has the mental fortitude to push through that, and sometimes, especially when you're dealing with depression, you can't. It's hard to look ahead and say, you know,
you're in a hole.
I think you can get out. You're so focused on that moment, that pain, that suffering in that moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that have it way worse than we've ever had.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, we just need to look at society differently because it is a construct. It is what we believe it is.
What do you? So think about this from a perspective of a business. So if we were publicly traded, we would forecast, and depending on which business we were, they would value our company based off the next 10 or 15 or 20 years of production, right? Yeah. So why doesn't the United States value our people based off of projected production over an extended period of time? So when people are born, we know that, let's say that they're going to be a cost to the system up until a certain point. And at that point, they can start contributing to the system. Right, so you do that math, but as they start to contribute, it become an asset instead of a liability.
Well, I'm not an economist, but we don't consider people at all in our economic system.
Yeah.
Our whole GDP is based on what the country produces.
Yeah.
It's based on businesses in the country. Like what's the stock market worth? What's our economy worth?
Does that take into consideration the black market stuff, the stuff that happens off book?
No, it doesn't. You know, that's another problem too.
Yeah.
But it goes back to the drug war thing.
The dark place where you can still trade money after 4 o'clock.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, and I mean, let's look at
just any prostitution, drug dealers, all that stuff that's not accounted for.
Right.
But instead of basing it just on business, it should be based on people and business. It should be based on population, because that's another thing they worry about, increasing in population. The more the population increases, the less valuable our society becomes because it requires more resources.
Right.
But if we have the technology to meet all the needs, we just need to make the monetary system match the technology.
Yeah.
I don't know how we make that happen. I think it'll probably happen during our lifetimes, but I think we still need more technological advancement. We need people in our generation in politics.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not for socialism.
No.
I'm all capitalism, but we've got to get rid of poverty.
Yeah.
You know, if we get rid of poverty, people will spend more money. The economy will move better.
Yeah.
And crime will decrease. It'll be a better society. You know, we want to reach a society that's like Star Trek, not Mad Max. You know?
Right. For sure.
I was talking with somebody the other day, and they said, "Oh, we should just wipe the slate clean, and everybody should start from zero."
Negative.
And I said, that wouldn't. One, you can't do that.
The same people would end up in the same places.
But yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
That's what I said. I said, the people with the money would end up with the money again.
Yeah.
And the people
unless there are people that were just born into it, which is a very small percentage.
Yeah.
Most of the time when money gets passed down, the next generation loses it all.
Yeah. Well, the reality is if we take and we started a new city, and in this new city we put 10,000 people, and we gave all 10,000 people $1 million, and we came back 6 months later, all 10,000 people would have varying levels, because some people don't want to collect dollars.
Yeah.
Some people want to collect boats or golf clubs or purses.
Yeah.
Some people value over money their freedom, their time, right? Which is okay. Yeah. We have an employee that values his freedom and his time over money, right? Obviously by his choices.
Right.
Some people want to spend that time with their family, right? Some people are willing to work twice as hard. Some people are willing to work 80 to 100 hours. The other ones don't want to work at all.
Yeah.
And by those choices, over time, they would find themselves in the same financial situation they were today. The only way to change your financial situation today that I know that works for sure is to start making different choices.
Yeah. Well, that's why I say that giving people money is not the answer.
Right.
It's providing those basic needs. And also, you brought up something else that reminded me of something you said earlier about how many hours you work a week and stuff. I have to say that you and I are pretty good about balancing our time too, though.
Yeah.
We've always been really good at building a company or working on a project And when we're building the project or working on a new project, we work all the time.
Yeah.
We're machines. We never stop. But once we get it running smoothly, we suddenly have time. That's our reward.
Yeah.
And then during that time, we'll spend more time with our family and our friends. We'll do extra things. We go on vacation or whatever.
And then I get enough of that.
And I think you start getting depressed because you're not working on a
exactly,
project.
Yeah.
and
then I go,
project.
Get back to it. Yeah, exactly. And that's what we do over and over.
And also, in fairness, that's not, we're different. That's our personality.
Yeah.
We enjoy working. We enjoy creating and working on new projects. When I'm working on a new project, I don't feel like I'm working. I may get tired, but I enjoy it and it's rewarding. Some people don't feel that way. Some people, they want a more simple life. They want to have a more set schedule. They want to have time off. They don't have big aspirations or have a lot of desires to, have a bigger house or have nice things or, they want to have a more simple life, and that's fine.
Yeah.
That's perfectly
I think
fine.
they should do that.
Yeah.
I guess that's the other side of this is you can't have a society where you get the exact same outcome for everyone because not everyone wants the same outcome.
We're so different. Yeah.
I mean, like what is guarantee of outcome? How do you do that? Because let's say I want a 10,000 square foot house and the other person wants a 500 square foot house. Neither is the wrong choice. Right? Neither is the wrong choice. So
as long as you're both happy.
But if you force me into a 500 square foot house, I'm unhappy.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
True.
But, some people are like, oh, well, enjoy COVID. You've got several months that you don't have to work. Wait a second, I like to work.
Yeah.
I don't want to not work. Right? Like you're forcing me to make if you don't want to work, I don't want to force you to work. If you do want to work, I don't want to force you not to. Like you should have the choice.
Right? Sort of.
Yeah. Well, don't expect.
You should have to contribute to society.
Yeah, and if you're not going to, then you can then deal with the consequences.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like if you don't want to contribute to whatever society you're a part of, then then you're not going to have a very good life. I don't think. Right.
Well, I think I think if everybody in our society had all their basic needs, they had a home, they had medical, they had all these things they needed, they'd be a lot happier.
I agree.
And then.
Yeah, but if I got all those things and I had to spend my 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week at home, I would not be happy.
Oh, but you could still do.
I need to do all the
above.
things. Yeah, I need to do all.
But in
those
order
things.
to have all those things too, you have to be showing that you're being productive.
Yeah.
You have to be a part of what's growing society.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know. How do we solve it all? Who knows? We're just talking, obviously.
Well, you and I aren't going to solve it all, but hopefully we're planting seeds.
People need to be asking these questions in general.
Right. Yeah. Everyone collectively can solve it all by asking these questions, by wanting to solve these problems. And the more we talk about it, the more the conversation expands, the better those chances are.
I miss, and so with sports, and I'm not a sports guy, but let's say you have two opposing teams, and now most of the time they'll be like, "Oh man, he's got a Dallas hat on. I can't believe you're wearing that hat, man."
Right.
And it's fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
There are times where somebody with a Dallas hat walks in and he gets beat up in that bar because it's a whatever. That's stupid.
Right. Yeah.
Right? That's ignorant.
Completely stupid.
For the most part, it's fun.
Right.
I hate that the political side has turned into, oh, he's got a Democrat hat on, whether that's Obama, whomever.
Right.
You got a Trump hat on. Like, we hate this person because of the team that they support, right? I wish we could get away from that and go to open discussion about problems, get a consensus on the problems, because I think everybody agrees if they sit down and talk about they agree about the problem, they don't agree about the solution.
Right.
And start having this type of dialogue, and get people. You should have a people with opposing views, right?
Sure.
Well, that's the problem with the party system. I don't even know if you should have parties at all.
Yeah.
And also it's the problem with having a president. I like a lot of things about our Constitution and about our style of government. It works really well in some ways.
Sure.
And in some ways it's not practical based on the population. I mean, it wasn't designed for 330 million people.
Right.
So, having a round table of experts instead of a president makes a lot more sense to me. And forget about what political party they're part of. It shouldn't even be that. It should be, what policies do you have? What are your ideas? Which way do you want society to go? That should be what's important, because even if someone's a Republican and a Democrat has a really good idea, even if that good idea benefits that Republican, they're going to be opposed to it because they're Republican.
Yeah.
Right.
Or vice versa. It makes no sense.
Oh, yeah.
And you can talk to people. I'm an independent. I have friends that are like really close friends and family that are both.
Yeah.
And I can talk to both of those people.
Sure.
And I can say, maybe I'll say like a conservative idea, and both of those people will like that idea because because I'm not associating it with a party. But if I said a Republican said this,
Yeah.
I could take a Democrat idea
Yeah.
and say that a Republican said it and say it to a Democrat, and they would be opposed to it because
Sure.
I said a Republican said
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's idiotic.
It works
Like,
both ways. Yeah.
Honestly,
both ways, yeah.
what I think would be a good sign is something I hope, I don't know, I'm a dreamer, but I would like to see it happen is we have composite governments where instead of a hard party line, because then someone's going to lose either way, it's not realistic. It feels like there needs to be a broad, like you're saying, a broad spectrum mindsets that come together to figure out our problems instead of coming, to gunfights to kill each other and go get your way,
Yeah. Because I feel like that's what it's coming to.
Well, I think we're forgetting, too, that this country is a republic. All the people in this country are the government.
Yeah.
Our whole society is supposed to be the government. That's why I don't like having a president, one person in that role. It doesn't make any sense. Number one, there's way too much shit for them to deal with. It's impossible. But and even when I say a round table of experts, I don't mean like one scientist and one lawyer and one business professional. I mean 5 or 10 of each.
Right.
Some real enough people
But then
to
their
have
bodies
a real,
underneath them too, that they pull their sources from.
Yeah. Which, I mean, you used to have the Congress and stuff like that. Also, fixing money in politics is so corrupt.
Yeah.
Our politicians basically work for corporations.
Yeah, that's true.
A lot of your partisan issues are because, one corporation is making a lot of money on one idea, and another corporation is making a lot of money on another idea. So they're in the ears of these politicians saying, hey, support my idea, support my idea.
Yeah.
It's all about the bottom line.
A lot of crime is that way. A lot of things are illegal because of the political process.
Yeah. 100%, yeah.
So, and it's like, something's a crime because it does. So we've had people in businesses in the past where they go, oh, well, this is a haven for crime, right? It had 3 criminal acts happen here in the last 5 years. Go to Walmart and pull the record. Walmart has more crime than any other business in the United States. Period.
But they make a lot of money.
They make a lot of money. I don't see any local sheriff or police chiefs trying to shut down the Walmart, right?
Right.
Oh, these are havens for crime, right? But it's just some of these things you start to look at, you go, well, who has money? Who's paying politicians?
Yeah.
Right? And laws are it comes back to this whole thing. Laws are structured to go after people on the bottom end, right? And the wealthier people, the laws are structured in their favor. So it's like this whole cycle we got to get out of.
It is not a conspiracy. It's just the way it works.
No, it's the way it is. And if you believe it's a conspiracy, then you're just you just don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
right?
don't worry about the conspiracy theories. Worry about the real problems you can see.
Yeah.
Let's fix those first. We can worry about the conspiracies later.
Aliens.
Yeah. By the way, on a side note, I got to talk about this because I think the fact that COVID, the riots, the peaceful protests, the riots, the whatever, all of it, everything that you got going on the news today, all of it, just check box all, is overshadowing the, I'm going to call it Hump Island.
Oh, the Epstein thing?
Yeah, that he didn't hang himself, him.
Oh, yeah.
Right? But I saw a picture this morning, and it said, it was like, we hope she talks. And it had pictures of like all these people that had been to this island.
Oh, yeah, that won't.
And it had, and I'm not trying to. I don't know. This is just a picture, so it could be fake. But you had people like Oprah went to the island, right? I don't believe Oprah went there with any ill intentions.
Right.
If she went at all.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm talking about a celebrity like massive list.
I think Trump's even been there.
Trump's been. Oh, Trump, Clinton, Oprah, Will Smith. I'm talking about like hundreds of.
I'm sure a lot of the
A-list
celebrities were probably just invited to parties there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they're trying to make it all political. Oh, this person went there. They must have done something wrong. When they see the list.
Some of those people are like, fuck, man, I shouldn't have went there.
Yeah, man.
I had no idea.
Just merely going.
But some of them had an idea. Some of them were there for the wrong reasons.
Some of them were there for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But we don't know. We rush to judgment, and then I think what's going to come out about this. But I wish more attention was being put on that. Very little is.
Yeah. I don't think, I don't know. Of course, they're sending Maxwell to the same place that he went to. Of course, everybody's thinking, oh, geez.
Oh,
She's
yeah.
dead.
Oh, well.
She's dead.
She's not going to make it.
Listen, this. If I was her, I'd be like, you got to sleep with one eye open. I don't know what's about to happen, but some bad stuff. She's about to kill herself.
Maybe Epstein's still alive.
Yeah,
Oh,
maybe.
They're just
Man,
gonna.
if something happens to her, whew,
Yeah, that
So-
that would be crazy.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. But anyway, just wanted to put that in some comedic relief. It's like all this overshadows some of these
Right.
other problems that we've got going on. And the
Absolutely.
reality is, if you have a society's going to have issues. And once we solve these issues, there'll be new issues.
well, one
course.
thing about the media too is it's no longer the mainstream media.
No.
There's so many news sources now. There's so many good sources. A lot of your independent media online now has way more views
Yeah.
than even like Fox and CNN and all these entertainment media sources.
Yeah. And one of the things I hate, too, about this, like what you're talking about, some of these need to remove the word news.
That's right.
I don't like...
What'd you say, entertainment news?
Yeah, entertainment news.
Yeah.
Let's say that a crime is being committed. Let's say that a group of whatever colored people, whatever background, ethnicity, it doesn't matter. A group of people are beating up one individual. And it's black and white. It's just obvious, right? Like literally, there's film footage. These 7 guys are beating up this one guy. And they kill him. I think all parties should be able to say, this is wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
But what's happening somewhat is, by saying this is wrong, it's portrayed as you're against the movement. No. This act is wrong.
Right.
Yeah, that's not solving any problem.
And I hate the political, so that some of these news organizations will not say that this is wrong.
Well, that's the whole woke culture thing, too.
Yeah, like they won't say it. They won't be like, oh, that act is wrong. They're going to say, well, are you against this move? I hate, and on both sides, Democrats, Republicans do that. Like a Republican news anchor will see something that's going on and it makes sense, but it's done by a Democrat. And the Republican will say, we'll basically just deny it. I think on both sides, that creates division. And I think on both sides, it makes me trust all the organizations that much less, because I would hope to think that people at home are looking at it going, yeah, man, okay, let's say you're a Republican. I'm a Republican, but I can sympathize with this, and I don't know how you can't. If I'm a Democrat, same thing. Like, I
Sure.
don't get it. Like, hey, we may have different beliefs. I don't think that you should die because of your beliefs.
Right, yeah.
You should be killed because of your beliefs, right? So,
And also, we need to stop. Race needs to go away.
yeah.
Race is irrelevant. It's a stupid. It's a dumb concept
Yeah.
in itself.
That'd be like me.
All humans are the same thing.
To me, it's like I'm being oppressed because I'm fat and you're skinny or you're muscular. Like and I get that. I'm not trying to marginalize. I'm just saying, like, to me, that's how silly it is. It's like,
Right. Yeah. A
Yeah.
lot of these problems were created by race ideology, and it's insane.
yeah,
But today, the problem is poverty. The problem is poverty.
yeah,
Let's fix poverty.
I agree with that.
Let's get people that are impoverished and make them not impoverished,
yeah,
and fix these communities, and then and forget about race.
yeah,
How about we all just say, yeah, humans in the past were fucked up people.
yeah,
They did some terrible things. Let's just forget about those people.
Yeah.
We'll remember it. We'll write it in the history books.
Yeah.
We'll remember what people were capable of. But let's say, hey, we are all the same. We're all equal.
yeah.
Let's work together to make society better. Let's make people better. Let's produce a better society, and let's
Yeah.
all do well.
I think I agree with that, and I think for children, like with my children, like I want them, and this is a double-edged sword. I want them to be better than I am, but really, what does that mean? What I really want for them is, I want to create an environment where they have an opportunity to pursue whatever they're passionate about.
Yeah.
Right. If one of my sons wants to be a classical pianist, and one wants to be a ballerina, and the other one wants to be a teacher, I don't care. It's not my job to dictate what they become.
Right.
It's my job to make sure they have an opportunity to become what they want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? To pursue whatever it is they want to pursue.
Yeah.
And I feel like we got to make sure that as adults, voting adults in this country, that our duty is to make sure that we vote in a way or contribute to society in a way that it creates those opportunities for the ones that are coming up, the ones that are being born, the ones
Yeah.
that are being raised,
Yeah.
not just for my children, but for everybody's children, right?
Right.
And if
Yeah.
we start acting that way, thinking about this approach, like what type of society do we want to raise our children in?
Yeah.
I feel like we got to, and this is that empathy thing you're talking about too, but it's like this isn't that difficult. I mean,
it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, right? I mean, like, hey, if you murder somebody, I think anybody that commits murder fully understands that there's a major consequence that could happen.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
I think that sometimes those people don't. Their
They may not have
their life is they're so damaged that they don't even value life anymore.
Right.
Or other people's lives. That's a problem. If we want a better society, you have to have people that care about other people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I mean, so we gotta. The person needs to be punished, but then you look at some like I've.
100%. Yeah.
I'm not discounting this, and again, it's not something that's happened to my family, but there was a gentleman that had murdered somebody when they were like 17. They're in their 60s now. They've been in prison their whole life, right? And they've created all these organizations in prison. They are educating other prisoners. They've organized religious group. They've done all these different things, and they're trying to help reform people while they're in prison. They're doing more for prisoners in prison than the prison system itself is, right?
And so that's where you go into the thing. You go back to where would that guy be? I'm sure I guess it's a guy.
Yeah,
where would he be if he had a better childhood?
Yeah. Well, to me, and I hate to say this, but on some version, I think that person is a reformed person.
He's redeemed himself,
and he shouldn't be in prison.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, I don't have a problem with that.
I don't either.
That person has been rehabilitated,
and he's contributing to society, and he's been doing that for an extended period of time.
And you look at what his childhood was like; it was probably terrible.
And he's going to die in prison.
Yeah.
He's not getting out. But so I mean, I don't know. I mean, how do you? It's just that those things I think people will differ on. Again, we all agree with the goal, but how do we get there? Like, what's the right punishment for that? I mean, a 17-year-old.
I don't know that we all agree on that goal, though. I think there are some people in society that just think that things should stay the way they are, and you should just keep arresting people and throwing them in prison. And
maybe you might be right.
And not. They think that more policing is the key instead of making people better.
Yeah.
Instead of making a better society, they just want more control over those aspects of society.
Yeah.
And that's problematic.
I feel like the way that we're going, what's going to end up happening is you're going to split the nation, and you're literally going to end up with the United States are going to become independent states, and you're going to have some division that's going to take place. There's either going to be some type of internal civil war if we don't.
I think we're already in a civil war right now. I think it's just different. It's not as obvious as the one we went through. Yeah, it's a civil war of ideas.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're going to split the nation up because it's pretty established.
Yeah. I don't know.
I think it'll just hopefully it will evolve in the right direction.
Right.
Yeah. I hope so.
And we can make a difference. We're just two guys, but we can still contribute and share ideas, and hopefully these ideas will spread.
And more people definitely need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man, this
fun podcast.
This is a good one.
Yeah, this went. We were coming.
Who needs guests?
Yeah, we don't need guests. But to all the guests that have been on, thank you.
Yeah.
To all the future ones, thank you. But we don't need guests. All I need is Chewbacca.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Jesse, we're good. We got this.
That's right.
Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. So, thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like and subscribe. Again, we really appreciate your support. We'll have a guest on next week, so we'll see you then. Thanks. Bye.
Later, guys.